I'm not going to call out any names, but there are some wildly more popular YouTubers who feel that martial arts are strictly here from the devil, and it's because they reached the high level of martial arts under people who were devilish. I submit to you that the reason why their martial arts experience was so satanic, was so demonic, is just because of the type of instructors that they picked. They picked violent people. They picked arrogant people to follow. They picked people who make an idol out of the martial arts. And while there are certain styles that, in my opinion, I think lend themselves to that type of behavior, I'm not going to name them in the interest of style bashing. You know what those styles are. You know the styles where they make it practically a cult or a religion. And sometimes it's not even a whole style, it's just most of those schools and those particular systems. If you've been around long enough, you know what they are. And if you don't know, because you haven't been around long enough, just beware. Some people will make you want to worship their sensei, sifu, saboom, coach, whatever you call them. So, and part of the problem is this whole thing I call of you value the grrr, grrr. You think that you have to respond in a hyper aggressive manner to a confrontation or threat of violence all the time. And no, you don't. You think that if there is no aggressive intent all the time behind whatever response you give in self-defense, that your technique's going to fail, and that's just not true. You don't have to respond overly aggressive all the time. You have to respond with some force, which means you have to respond appropriately. So if somebody's just mad and they might just want to slap you on the arm, you could move out the way to not get slapped on the arm. You could lightly move their hand away so they can't slap you on the arm. Or if you know if it's not going to hurt, you know what you could do? You could take it. You could take the slap because you know you're used to being hit harder than that on a weekly basis in your martial arts class. So you don't care. You don't have to loud key-eyed knock their teeth out or, pick them up and throw them in a shoulder throw. But you think all martial arts, and now I'm talking to the people who just want to blanketly paint them all as satanic. You think that everybody's teacher teaches them to respond that way. No, they don't. No, we don't. No, I don't. Not everybody creates Pitbull martial artists. I use the principle, I cannot remember the exact scripture, of the meat offered to idols. It's in one of the Apostle Paul's letters. I cannot remember which one. But that's all it is. I don't care if some of these people think that you should deify the founder of whatever their style is. You know that person's not a god. So you can be a Christian and still practice the martial art because you don't give your mind or your power over to that. If you're in a school or a club where they want you to hand over your spirit to their misguided teachings, find somebody else who doesn't want you to do that. The most religious I get in my class is having them say the student creed. That's it. And if somebody came up to me and just said, Mr. Washington, Mr. Cecil, I just really have a problem with that. What I'd do, I'd say, okay, then just don't say the student creed. Student creed's not on the test. The student creed is there because I'm like, why should I keep drawing from Eastern sources for everything when we're studying Eastern martial art? When most of the people that come to my class live in the West, and most of the people that come to the class have a Judeo-Christian framework, or even if they have a Islamic framework, they still recognize a lot of the same biblical works. So yeah, and if they're atheists, they probably don't care anyway. They're just not going to say it. Half the time, people don't even remember it. So it's your teachers that you picked. And dare I say it, it's you too. You felt comfortable around the bloodthirsty teachers because of your own bloodthirstiness. If you didn't feel comfortable with the bloodthirsty teachers, you either would have not stayed there at all, came in, saw it was crazy, left. Or if you really just wanted to get a black belt in that style, you'd have gotten a black belt in that style and it moved on to something else. Because, that's something else you could do too. If you're like, I just want to have this in my martial repertoire, my martial resume, but I don't want to be part of this. You can do what a lot of people do. A lot of people get showed on and they gone, Jack, and they don't come back no more. You don't see them no more. They just wanted a black belt. They wanted to get a facility on it to round up their skills, and then they gone. Does it bother me when people do that to me? Yeah, it's annoying because sometimes you feel like, if you're the teacher, you feel like you hope this person can stick around and be a help, be a colleague. But if they're gone, they're gone. What you going to do? So that, that's on you. You took the martial arts to a dark place. And see, this one more thing. If you look in the Bible, there's no thing in the Bible where they allow God to be described or praised in negative terms. I should say praised in negative terms. The Psalms describe the Lord as a warrior. There's several places where they describe the Lord as a warrior. We are supposed to try to imitate the Lord and follow Christ's example. So where does he tell you that it's bad for you to be a warrior? What, because he said turn the other cheek? Turn the other cheek does not conflict with warrior values in the least bit. It shouldn't be. It ought to be really easy, a lot easier for you to turn the other cheek if you already know how to fight, because it should be easier for you to turn the other cheek because you know that you don't need to prove anything to defend yourself. And if somebody strikes you on the one cheek, you ought to have enough pain tolerance where you could turn and offer them the other. But and these guys who are saying this stuff, in particular people I'm thinking about, I'm not going to say their names, they know that turning the other cheek was about an insult, that was a metaphor. It wasn't something that was literal. They know that. But that's one thing I do like about the Bible is that some of the stuff will work even if you take it literally. Just like, if somebody smacks you on one cheek. Have you ever been hit? I have. I've been hit. And it really didn't hurt because I was used to being hit. Right? Guy hit me because he was mad. I'll never forget this. He hit me because he was mad. Actually, it's happened more than once. But the one I'm thinking about, he hit me. And then I looked at him. I said, what is your problem? Because he didn't hurt me. Because I've been kicked in the head harder than that. It just stung a little bit and then it was gone. And my doing that said more about how tough I am than the response of that they got from their teachers of, you should have blocked and then counter hit. And then, the Master Ken response, attack the groin. Attack the neck, stomp the leg, break the leg, re-stomp the groin. No, we're not all Master Ken out here. That's why Master Ken is so funny. So that was the darkness that you found in the martial arts. You teachers and preachers who are just swearing that it's absolutely up and down 100% of the devil. It's not. You're swearing that because you let your own greed and lust for power allow you to be manipulated by these evil demonic people who just happen to be martial artists. And that's all I have to say. You know, don't bring it over here. I'm sorry it happened over there. And with that being said, if, despite what I'm saying, you still feel uncomfortable being a martial artist, then maybe you don't need to be a martial artist, because maybe it's bad for you. And look at it like this. There are people that are allergic to peanuts, and there are people that aren't. Does it make peanuts bad for everyone? Based on how you're configured, there are things you need to avoid and things you need to indulge in based on your own nature. So be honest with yourself. Peace.